Hi, my name is Maggie Moriarty, and I am in B1 with Miss Wittig. My media presentation project is what is the impact a single moment can have on life, and how do choices reveal our character. My first core text is Of Mice and Men. This is where two men, Lenny and George, are trying to figure out life during the Great Depression. However, they face many difficulties along the way. Lenny is the main cause of the problems. He is very oblivious to his surroundings and is unaware of his own strength. We are told that Lenny loves to pet soft things. This eventually leads to trouble. When Lenny was a child, his aunt gave him a pet mouse, which he ended up killing because he pet it too hard. The same type of incident happened again with a little puppy. Towards the end of the story, Lenny finds himself alone with Curly's wife. She's notorious for being a big flirt. On page 91, after Curly's wife told Lenny that he could pet her hair, Lenny said, "Oh, that's nice," and he stroked harder. "Oh, that's nice." "Look out now, you'll mess it," she cried angrily. "You stop it now, you'll mess it all up." She jerked her head sideways, and Lenny's fingers closed on her hair and hung on. "Let go," she cried. "You let go." Lenny was in a panic. His face was contoured. She screamed then, and Lenny's other hand closed over her mouth and nose. "Please don't," he begged. "Oh, please don't do that. George will be mad." Shortly after, Lenny let his strength get the best of him. He snapped Curly's wife's neck, and she was found dead. This event was a very significant moment for Lenny, and it further reveals his character of being childishly innocent. He is not able to understand death because he's mentally handicapped. After George learns about the latest incident, he becomes tired of everything. He is tired of running and realizes that the events like this will just keep on happening if he keeps Lenny around. Page 106, George raised the gun and steadied it, and he brought the muzzle of it close to the back of Lenny's head. The hand shook violently, but his face set and his hand steadied. He pulled the trigger. The crash of the shot rolled up the hills and rolled down again. George killed Lenny. The act of George killing Lenny revealed his character. It shows that he has no tolerance for Lenny's problems anymore. He is selfish and he just wants to coast through life without having to worry about Lenny. My next core text is Persepolis, and this is about Margin and the events that happened during the Islamic Revolution. On page 5, panel 1 through 5, Margie's mom had involved herself in a protest. My mom had protested at the demonstration about the requirements for the veil. At one of the demonstrations, a German journalist took a photo of my mother. I was really proud of her. Her photo was published in all the European newspapers and even in magazines in Iran. My mother was very scared. This was a very significant moment on Margie's life. A child is usually taught what to believe in from his or her parents. This was the first time Margie's mother let it be known that she disagreed with capitalism. The fact that Margie's mom was involved in the demonstration shows that she is very independent and does not want to be told what to do. Being involved in the demonstration could have led to violence. However, her mother's character was strong enough to make a sacrifice. This is what also made Margie very determined. Later, when Margie was much older, there was a bomb that exploded while she was shopping. "You all right? Dad's all right? Grandma's all right?" she said on page 138. Because the bomb had exploded in Iran, it was clear to her mom and her dad that Margie needed to live elsewhere in order to be safe. Her parents decided to send her out of the country. This shows that Margie's parents are willing to make personal sacrifices to make sure that their daughter was safe. Not every child has two loving parents, as Margie does, who would risk everything to ensure a better life for their child. My last core text is 102 minutes. In 102 minutes, actions are described as either saving thousands of lives or only saving one or two. When the news started spreading that the Twin Towers had been attacked, many people had responded. More than 225 fire units would go to the trade center, half of the companies working that day. So many trucks showed up that the parking became difficult on page 49. This shows that the firemen possessed a great deal of character. It would have been easy for them just to turn around and focus on their lives rather than helping the thousands of people who were trapped. First responders helped save the lives of an undetermined number of people, thus showing their true character of selflessness. These men and women were willing to put strangers' lives before their own. Such selflessness cannot be taught. There were also stories of normal people helping people out. When everybody was evacuating, the atmosphere was very chaotic. While evacuating, Ron DeFresco noticed a heavy-set woman who was struggling to breathe. She was having more and more trouble breathing, so DeFresco gave her backpack, thinking she could use the fabric to filter the air, on page 99. This woman was in a life-or-death situation, and by DeFresco helping her, he saved her life. Without him, she could have endured a suffocating death due to the toxins in the air. The simple act revealed his character by showing that he is very sympathetic to the suffering of others. Many people might not have given up their backpack in that situation, however, he did. Following stories will be my supplemental text. They include The Mask of the Red Death, $1,000, and A Sound of Thunder. The Mask of the Red Death starts off with Prince Prospero inviting into his castle 1,000 hale and light-hearted friends from among the knights and dames of his court. This occurs on page 3. The single moment determines how many lives Prospero is attempting to save, but it also shows how many people he left outside to die from the plague. He's supposedly protecting these people, but in fact he does the opposite. The choices reveal his character because he only takes action after half of his people have died. It shows that he has little consideration for others and is a very careless ruler. Next, when Prince Prospero notices an uninvited guest, he is very outraged. Prospero says, "Who dares," in a hoarsely voice to the courtiers sitting near him, "who dares insults us with this blasphemous mockery? Seize him and unmask him," on page 8. This event sets up the rest of the story. The uninvited guest is a symbol of death, and everybody in attendance will soon fall under that fate. This appearance of this guest reveals Prospero's selfish nature. It shows that he is short-tempered and is unwelcoming. It is human nature to want to help people when they are in danger. However, Prospero does not possess this trait. In the end, the mystery guest ensures that each guest meets his or her fate, which was death. The next story is $1,000. This is about a man named Gillian and the money that he inherits from his uncle and how he spends it. "It is such an unusual amount," Gillian explained to his lawyer. "If it had been 10,000, a man might celebrate with lots of fireworks. Even $50 would have been less trouble." This occurs on page 1. These words set the mood for the rest of the story. Gillian is very pessimistic and seems to view the money as a burden rather than a gift. This leads us to believe that he might not spend the money wisely. After considering spending the money foolishly, Gillian eventually gives the money to Miriam Hayden and tells her that he loves her, although she does not love him back. When he is about to turn in his report of how he spent the money, he learns that if he has spent it on an unselfish act, he will inherit an additional $50,000. If he spent it foolishly, the additional money will go to Miss Hayden. Upon hearing this, Gillian was a little quicker in taking it up. He calmly tore the report and its cover into pieces and dropped them in his pocket. That happened on page 4. The single moment reveals Gillian's true character, that his love for Miriam Hayden outweighs his selfishness. My last text is The Sound of Thunder. This is where a group of hunters are traveling back in time to hunt dinosaurs. The leader, Mr. Travis, reminds the characters to continuously stay on the metal path that leads into the jungle. "The purpose is to keep you from touching this world of the past in any way. Stay on the path. Don't go off it. I repeat, do not go off it," Mr. Travis said on page 3. He does not want to disturb anything from the past because he knows how it can affect the present. Travis also tells them to only shoot when he signals. This reveals Travis's character to be very cautious. One of the hunters, Eccles, continues to ask why they cannot step off the path. This foreshadows future events because Eccles does not seem to be very cautious as Travis is. The plan is for a tree to fall on and kill a T-Rex, but Eccles becomes frightened and accidentally steps off the path, which causes a T-Rex to charge. The hunters have to shoot it. Since they are never to leave items behind in the past, Eccles must retrieve the bullets from the dinosaur, which requires him to step off the path again. After getting yelled at by Mr. Travis, Eccles later says, "Just run off the path, that's all, a little mud on my shoes. What do you want me to do, get down and pray?" Because Eccles has stepped off the path. When the group returns to the present, they notice that everything has been altered. In a panic, Eccles inspects himself and finds a dead butterfly on the bottom of his shoe. Eccles' careless nature in the past resulted in him stepping on a butterfly, which led to drastic changes in the future. With all those examples in mind, a very simple moment can have a very significant impact on a person's life. Each moment leads to another, one by one. The way a person responds to a series of events reveals his or her character.